provide you with the lowest per GB rates, night or day. SLT 4G, driving you ever forward.
Making headlines on First at 9. Another increase. Fuel price to increase from midnight tonight across 3 items. Auto diesel prices will not increase. Weather alert. Cyclone Titli will develop into a severe cyclonic storm in the next few hours.
And now it is intensified into the severe cyclonic storm, and it is likely to intensify further, very severe cyclonic storm.
Right to information. Civil organisation Bratasurakim questions how many elected MPs maintain income tax files.
And by the disclosing of it, we hope that the people will be able to make a more wiser and more advised, more educated choice next time around.
Restriction on imports. More laws to spur export-led economy. Pointing fingers. Former Sri Lanka cricket chairman levels criticism at the Minister of Sports for mismanagement.
I can guarantee you for last 3 years, not a single player been involved with match fixing in our country.
Let's nurture fresh colors seen by little eyes, guided by the light of our love. This space is for your little one. Adding flavor to World Children's Day. Tiara.
A very good evening to all our viewers who's joined with us here on First at 9, another Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katharina Chang. Now moving on to our top story tonight. The government announced newly revised fuel prices by the committee appointed to look into fuel prices under the fuel pricing formula. Price increases were announced for petrol and a grade of diesel, and the changes will be effective from midnight tonight. Accordingly, a litre of octane 92 petrol, which was sold at 149 rupees, will be increased by 6 rupees to 155 rupees. A litre of octane 95 petrol will increase by 8 rupees from 161 rupees at present to 169 rupees a litre. Moreover, a litre of super diesel, which was sold at 133 rupees, will be increased by 8 rupees, and the revised price will stand at 141 rupees. A communique by the Finance Ministry went on to say that the price of auto diesel will remain unrevised. In the meantime, the fuel pricing formula was taken up for debate in Parliament today.
Are you going to present the pricing formula to Parliament that will decide the selling price of fuel in Sri Lanka each month? Has the Cabinet granted approval for such a pricing formula? This new formula was introduced on the 11th of May, and in July, a committee was appointed to calculate local selling prices of fuel in line with world prices. When deciding fuel prices, the operation cost is added to the total cost, thereby bringing changes to our fuel prices in line with the global market. Prices in the global market fluctuate all the time. Today, a barrel of fuel is at $80, and we can't be sure if there will be more changes. When America imposed sanctions on Iran in November, there will be an issue. It is during November to April that fuel consumption increases globally due to winter season. Some predict it will go up to $90 per barrel. The other factor is the dollar, which affects developing countries.
Office for Reparations Bill was passed in Parliament with amendments today. A vote was taken for the second reading of the bill, and it received 59 votes in favour and 43 against. Accordingly, the Office for Reparation Bill was passed with a majority of 16 votes.
The Office for Reparation, the bill is one of those that we have proposed to ensure reconciliation in this country. We have had a long history of fighting, of armed conflict, not only in the north but also in the south, of people who have disappeared. Once we put this behind us, it's also necessary that we find out what has happened to them and also give reparation to the affected party. Providing reparations, we establish by law the Rehabilitation of Persons, Property and Industries Authority. Function of this Office of Reparation operation is to formulate and recommend to the Cabinet of Ministers policies on reparation, to facilitate the implementation of such policies, to monitor and evaluate the progress of delivery of reparations to eligible aggrieved persons. An aggrieved person has been defined as a person who have suffered violations of human rights or humanitarian law. In addition to that, they will also take action on recommendations made by the Office of Missing Persons.
The Indian Meteorology Department warns that a Titli cyclone in the Bay of Bengal may intensify into a severe cyclonic storm in the next few hours. Both the Indian and Sri Lankan officials are monitoring the situation at its highest level. Disaster Management Centre confirmed that 12 lives have been lost to the severe weather condition in Sri Lanka. Cyclone Titli, located in the Bay of Bengal, is currently bringing heavy showers to Odisha and Andhra Pradesh in India. Following warnings by the Indian Meteorology Department that Titli will develop into a severe cyclonic storm in the next few hours, Odisha government has alerted all district authorities to prepare for emergency relief work. Indian officials have also announced the closure of all schools and colleges from today in 4 districts of the state as a precautionary measure. 13 districts in Sri Lanka is also affected by Titli. Department of Meteorology says heavy showers can be expected in several provinces during the next 24 hours as well.
Generally, low pressure areas and cyclones are common during the intermonsoon period. From 6, there was a disturbance to the west of Sri Lanka and it intensified into a low pressure area and moved away from Sri Lanka towards the Arabian Sea. But there is another system developed to the southeast of Sri Lanka on 8th of this month. It was intensifying gradually and moved towards the central Bay of Bengal. And now it is intensified into the severe cyclonic storm and it is likely to intensify further, very severe cyclonic storm. There is some indirect effect of that cyclonic storm. Western, Sabaragamuwa, central, southern provinces have received considerable rainfall. This heavy rainy condition is likely to reduce to some extent. From 13th onwards, we can expect general afternoon thunder showers.
Traffic was restricted to one lane of several main roads in Hatton, Bogavantalawa and Muskelia after warnings of ground subsidence in areas. Nagoda, Doranavilla Road in Gaul, Udugama, Baddegama and Kurupanava areas are still submerged following increased water levels of the Ging River. Meanwhile, fishing communities in Gaul refrained from venturing into the sea due to rough seas and strong winds in coastal regions. The water gauge in Naglagam Vidya site of the Kalani River today indicated receded water levels from 2.2 feet to 1.9 feet compared to yesterday's water level. Meanwhile, other than a report on the ground said that the Victoria Reservoir reached its spill levels. Meanwhile, following heavy rains, a school van fell into 6 feet deep sinkhole in the Chitra lane in Narayanpeta today.
As per the irrigation department, water levels of Kalani and Ging rivers are decreasing at the moment. But the meteorology department is expecting more rain today as well, more than 75 millimeters. More than 69,000 people been affected with that prevailing condition since 3 to 5 days time. More than 12,000 persons been temporarily accommodated in safe evacuation centers. Still, people are advised to be vigilant in the landslide risky areas, especially in Kalutara district. Red alerts been given. We are requesting from all the people who moved to the safer locations to be remain until further notice. 10,000 advance already been given, and they have been giving all the people who affected with the house damages. Other damages will be assessed and other money will be released. If any queries, if any complaints, the people can access via 117 call center number.
In the political arena, a meeting was held between MPs of the joint opposition and former President Mahinda Rajapaksa last night. A special meeting with a group of MPs from the joint opposition and the former president was held at the residence of SLPP chairman Professor G.L. Piris last night.
හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා සහ ජනාධිපතිතුමා අතර සාකච්ඡාවක් ගියා කියලා දැන් කතාවක් කරනවා. ඒකේ තත්ත්වය කොහොමද?
නෑ ඉතින් පත්තරවල යනවා. නිශ්චිත තීන්දුවක් ගත්තාම අපි ඒ පිළිබඳව සාකච්ඡා කරනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් යම් කිසි කෙනෙක්ගේ යම් කිසි තනතුරක් ආරක්ෂා කරන්න නම් අපි දේශපාලන තීන්දුව ගන්න. අපි ඒකට සූදානම් නෑ. ඉතින් රටට සුබදායි තී දේශපාලන තීන්දුවක් ගන්න අවශ්‍ය වුණොත් අපි ඒ වෙලාවට ඒ තීන්දුව ගන්නවා. හැමෝම කතා කරන යම් ආණ්ඩු පෙරලියක් ගැනත් කතා කරනවා. ඒක රහසක් නේ. ඒ කියන්න හොඳ නෑ කොහොමද කරන්නේ?
අපේ වගකීම විපක්ෂ වගකීම මොකද්ද? ආණ්ඩුව පෙරලන එක. ඉතින් ආණ්ඩුව පෙරලන්නේ කොයි වෙලාවෙද කොතනද කියන එක අපි සාකච්ඡා කරමින් ඉන්නවා. ඒ අවස්ථාව ආපු ගමන් පෙළුවා. ක්‍රමවේදය පිළිබඳව අපි දැම්ම ඔයාලට කියලා රටට කියන්න බෑනේ. ඒතකොට උන් අනිත් පැත්තට සූදානම් වෙනෝනේ ක්‍රමවේදයට ඇටැක් කරන්න.
Director of Operations of the Anti-Corruption Force Namal Kumar, who revealed the plot to assassinate President Maithripala Sirisena and former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, said that he will hand over several new voice recordings to the Criminal Investigations Department tomorrow. Now he claims that these voice recordings are crucial for the CID investigations conducted into the plot. Namal Kumar also gave copies of a few of these new voice recordings to other Derana today. Director of Operations of the Anti-Corruption Force Namal Kumar, who revealed the plot to assassinate President Maithripala Sirisena and former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, said to media today that he will hand over several new voice recordings to the Criminal Investigations Department tomorrow.
After I informed the CID officials, the CID asked me to come at any time I want. That's why I will be going to the CID at 10 a.m. tomorrow to give them around 20 voice recordings. I must reveal everything that is related to this plot. I expect that this will help the CID officials to uncover various things. These voice recordings have a conversation of a prominent politician as well. There is also a voice recording of an individual named Tushara Piris, who is living in France, who wanted to plan a lot of terrorist activities in Sri Lanka. These voice recordings will provide answers to many questions.
Meanwhile, he gave copies of a few of the said recordings to other Derana today, which he will be handing over to the CID tomorrow. UMP Colombo District Parliamentarian Mujibur Rahman threatens to take legal action over allegations levelled against him, centering the distribution of a contaminated packet of milk at the joint opposition mass rally last month.
The joint opposition directly accused me of distributing contaminated packets of milk during their protest campaign last month. MP Gammampila claimed at a media briefing that even Prabhakaran didn't mix poison with water. He implied that I had done something even Prabhakaran hadn't. When the government analyst's report was issued, it was confirmed that packets of milk had no poison. Now they claim that chairman of Milko admitted to the fact that those were contaminated. The Milko chairman didn't admit so, but these people pressurized him to say so. Now I suggest that a statement be made by the chairman of Milko over the incident. I have already taken measures to launch legal proceedings against allegations levelled against me.
Convener of the Ratasirakumu organisation, Krishma Vanasurya, questions as to how many elected parliamentarians maintain income tax files. Now he raised this question addressing a media briefing organised by civil organisation Ratasirakumu held in Colombo today.
In Ratasirakumu, we formed a set of committees and subcommittees and a structure to try and usher in a new change in the Sri Lankan polity, in the body fabric of Sri Lanka. We recognize that the three institutions of government, particularly judiciary, legislature and executive, these have not been strengthened over time, but what we have done over time since the gaining of our independence is that we have brought parties, political parties to form governments, but not built up a state. We need to build up a state and the institutions. We need to see what is going wrong with our institutions, how do we strengthen that, and that we see as a way forward in attaining a proper democratic form of government in our country. We find that unsuitable persons or persons not with the intention of doing service to the public are being brought to office, and that we see as a major reason why our institutions have not been strengthened and why even public servants have forgotten that they're public servants and have become government servants of the day. We see this as a huge problem. We have also submitted a request under the Right to Information Law to the Department of Inland Revenue, asking them how many of our elected representatives, both in Parliament and the Western Province, have opened up files for the declaration of their income. How many of them basically pay income tax? And by the disclosing of it, we hope that the people will be able to make a more wiser and more advised, more educated choice next time around.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Chief of Section for Educational Innovations and Skills Development from UNESCO, Lee Bing Wang, says that government needs to become entrepreneurial if they are to create a favorable ecosystem for the development of entrepreneurship in the country. Speaking at the 7th UNESCO APID meeting for entrepreneurship education, which was held in Trincomalee yesterday, Wang added that as the world approaches the 4th industrial revolution, it is important that relevant stakeholders create an environment where innovative ideas can be nurtured and supported. The development and promotion of entrepreneurship education among younger members of society today is attracting substantial attention in many countries. UN Sustainable Development Goal 4.4 indicates that by 2030, countries should aim to substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including technical and vocational skills, for employment, decent jobs and entrepreneurship. It is in this backdrop stakeholders, experts and government representatives convened in Sri Lanka to discuss ways and means to inculcate entrepreneurship within the education system at the annual UNESCO APID meeting on entrepreneurship education. Organized by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization and National Enterprise Development Authority, the event was held for the first time in South Asia. The inauguration ceremony was held under the theme Leveraging Multi-Stakeholder Engagement to Nurture Future Entrepreneurs under the auspices of Governor of the Central Province, Rohita Bogullagama.
Entrepreneurship lies in terms of no universal textbook case. It lies in terms of cultural development of the spirit of enterprise, having to be inculcated in the minds of the people and that of the youth, and maybe starting from the students, so that it becomes part of how we started growing our farming in terms of agriculture, how we believed in terms of our fisheries interest. What are we trying to bring about? A society in Sri Lanka denied of an opportunity for 30 long years due to a conflict, but we are out of it. Reconciliation process is on. Now along with that, we need development.
Entrepreneurship is very inclusive, which is not only means that all learners should be equipped with entrepreneurial skills. A government should also be entrepreneurial to really create a kind of favorable ecosystem for the development of entrepreneurial activities. And I would like to argue that deregulation and empowerment is very important for the government to push for the development of entrepreneurial activities. I would also like to see a kind of society where every single innovative ideas can be nurtured and supported with angels funds and also with venture capital. And this means that we also need to have a very nice micro-banking system and also the kind of mechanism to support innovative ideas and innovations.
Speaking at the sidelines of the summit, delegates expressed their views on the need for promoting entrepreneurship among children and youth, which they say is pivotal for the 21st century.
There is still a lot of potential to innovate, and Sri Lanka has a lot of potential, it has very high skills, but Sri Lanka is not taking the skill and scaling it, especially outside of Sri Lanka, because the market is limited and also the resources you find are limited. So I think there's a strong need to collaborate internationally.
In order to equip people to do more, I think it makes a lot of sense. Entrepreneurship is something that's quite difficult to teach, but I think there's some basic skill sets that can be instilled into people.
The tools can be taught, the qualities can be taught. You can do mentoring and handholding, you can give them finance, but the person should have the qualities of an entrepreneur in him. So it is a blend of art, craft and science, in my opinion.
We are moving from job seekers to job creator. So entrepreneurship is one of the best or effective models is developing this type of system. If you have good plan, if you have good program, but you do not have a key person to implement it, that is a problem.
Especially in the 21st century, the entrepreneurship component in education is very important because it's not so much about the tools. The tools you can download to them like an ordinary curriculum. More importantly, is the mindset of an entrepreneur that needs to be developed.
Global finance and Reserve Bank chiefs will gather this week in Bali, Indonesia for the annual gathering of the International Monetary Fund and World Bank amid rising concerns over trade war and risk of global economic crisis. It is expected that Minister of Finance and Mass Media, Mangla Samaraveera, who is the chair of the Group of 24 Developing Nations, which is active in lobbying international institutions on issues of concern in the global economy, to participate at this event. Minister of Finance Mangla Samaraveera says more laws will be brought in to tighten expenditure on imports and enable the creation of an export-led economy. Speaking to reporters, the Finance Minister explained measures taken by government to restrict the importation of vehicles in the face of continued pressure on the balance of payments amid a dwindling currency.
During the first 10 months of this year, up to the 4th of this month, over 1.4 million LCs were opened to import vehicles. These vehicles will be imported anyway. We will not stop that. We had to pay $781,618 for that. It is based on this that we tighten laws for importing vehicles. We will come up with similar proposals to make this an export-oriented economy. We will not let the economy collapse.
The Australia Price Index ended 0.14% down at 5,872.02, slipping further away from its highest close since 20th of September hit on Monday. Stock market turnover was 230.5 million rupees today, a third of this year's daily average of 769.4 million rupees. Foreign investors brought a net 15.9 million rupees worth of shares, but they have been net sellers of 6.3 billion rupees worth of equities so far this year. The Sri Lankan rupee fell to a record low today as a broadly stronger dollar and selling in government securities pressured the local currency further. Now the rupee hit 172 rupees and 82 cents per dollar, its fifth straight session of record lows, going below the previous hit of $170.60 hit on Monday. Now with that, let's now take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded with other currencies around the world.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Hurricane Michael made landfall in Florida, United States today, and it has now been upgraded to an extremely dangerous Category 4 storm by the U.S. National Weather Service. More than 370,000 people in Florida have been ordered to evacuate and move to higher ground. At least 13 people reportedly died in Central America over the weekend as a result of the storm rains and floods. Hurricane Michael, which had now been upgraded to an extremely dangerous Category 4, has sustained winds of 210 kilometers per hour. The U.S. National Weather Service said that more than 300 miles of coastline are currently under threat. State of emergencies have been declared for Florida, Alabama and Georgia. Forecasters in Alabama warned of possible tornadoes. U.S. President Donald Trump told reporters yesterday that his administration is well prepared for the impact of the hurricane. Weather forecasters also warned that some regions of Florida may experience storm surges of up to 13 feet, hurricane force winds and heavy rainfall along the northeastern Gulf Coast. Torrential downpours and flash flooding over the weekend caused 13 deaths in Central America after Michael formed off the coast of northern Honduras. After striking Florida, Michael is forecast to move up to the east coast today and tomorrow, plowing through the Carolinas, still recovering from Hurricane Florence last month. At least 50 people have been killed after a bus travelling from the Kenyan capital Nairobi to Kisumu in the west veered off the road today. Many reportedly died when the vehicle overturned. Now police fear the death toll may rise with the possibility of passengers trapped in the wreckage. Police state that the driver had lost control and plunged down a slope at a notorious accident black spot. Highway roads in Kenya can be notoriously dangerous, and the World Health Organization has ranked Kenya as one of the world's worst countries for road safety. Former President of Sri Lanka Cricket Thilanga Sumitipala puts the blame on Minister for the way he handled the recent issue arisen in Sri Lanka cricket. Addressing media at the Parliamentary complex today, he guaranteed that not a single player was involved in match fixing during the last 3 years when he was in the board.
There is no investigation whatsoever with the current team of players. We have the highest confidence about our players. We have the highest regard for the players of our country. I can guarantee you for last 3 years, not a single player been involved with match fixing in our country. But unfortunately, due to the fact that there was a complaint made by a former cricketer of World Cup squad and the former captain and got together and put a lot of publicity against a match against Zimbabwe and then saying things about possible match fixing by a former captain, Angelo Matthews. Investigation started. All of us cooperated, CEO to everyone in the board, President, Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, everyone on the board to support the investigation. We found nothing against Angelo Matthews by January 2018. So when there are issues, there is a way of handling. I put the total blame to the Minister of Sports, who would love to be at the middle of controversy and be part of the ongoing live action of any media opportunity for him is for him to come out and be part of it. So he has to put a stop to this. At the end of the day, whatever is happening behind the screen can take place, but why are we killing the game that we all love, giving bad publicity for the games?
Sri Lanka's monsoon season was the only winner in Dambulla as the first ODI was abandoned after just 15 overs of play. England had reached 92 for 2 after being asked to bat, but a heavy storm swept in. Despite the entire playing surface being covered, the umpires eventually deemed a wet outfield unsuitable for a shortened game. The ground staff worked hard to mop up with persistent rainfall, having left several inches of standing water on the covers. However, after a delay of more than 4.5 hours, the captain shook hands on the decision to call things off.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
On your weather update tonight, Manusha Jayathilak is at the Adana Weather Centre with a comprehensive update on the severe weather condition.
A very good evening everyone and welcome to Forecast First. The cyclonic storm Titli in the Bay of Bengal is currently located 1,050 kilometers away from Trincomalee, and it is likely to further intensify and move towards the northwestern region of India, especially towards the coastline of Andhra Pradesh. Because of this new system, we may experience more showers or thunder showers in the western, central, southern and Sabaragamu provinces during the next 24 hours here in Sri Lanka. However, we can expect rain to gradually recede in the southwestern region of the island. Fairly strong winds are forecast along the coastal belt of the island with wind speeds of up to 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, while sea areas extending from Galle to Batticalof will be fairly rough at times with wind speeds increasing up to 50 kilometers per hour. Taking into consideration on these unfavorable weather conditions, the Disaster Management Centre advises the naval and fishing communities to refrain from venturing into the sea in the next few days. Make sure you are vigilant on these developments and follow necessary instructions when required. Sri Lanka is still experiencing mild indirect effects from the cyclonic storm Luban as well, which is over the Arabian Sea. It is expected to make landfall in Oman and Yemen tomorrow, bringing heavy rainfall and dangerous flooding to these countries in the coming days. That's all that we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Let's now take a look at your city-by-city forecast.
And that is it for Mother Derana First at 9 for tonight. But before we go, we are taking you to Dialuma Falls in the Badla district. The 220 meters high Dialuma Falls is the second highest waterfall in Sri Lanka and ranks as the 361st highest waterfall in the world. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.